America's supply of racist cops reaches a critical low and forces diplomats to seek out news sources worldwide. Their latest target, the Japanese National Police Agency. Will that be enough? And can it help you learn English in just 15 minutes? Find out right now on English News Worth Talking About. Hey, it's Dennis Wilborn, the former sailor turned entrepreneur and English coach, and this is English News Worth Talking About on All About English. And if that intro didn't pique your interest, I don't know what will. In this show, I am going to break down some of my clients' favorite news articles to help you reach your English learning goals even faster. Join me Monday through Friday for a fresh look at the news in English and see why it's worth talking about. Make sure you stay to the end for a bonus idiom to add to your adventure. Today's news. Today is October 27th, 2022. It's Thursday, and I am risking getting banned from YouTube. Yeah, that's right. The topic today is so spicy, they just might kick me off. Good thing you can also find me on Rumble. We are headed back to ngu.com for this spicy topic. While Ngu does a good job presenting articles for English learners, I feel that sometimes it's important to offer a bit of a counterpoint to the views of the writers. So with that in mind, if you find my views challenging or offensive even, or if you agree with me, please be sure to leave a comment and start a discussion. Today's article was very popular with several of my clients, and it talks about the accusations of racial profiling by the Japanese police. Let's see what it's all about. Our news for today. Lawyers in Japan warn police over racial profiling. Whew, this is going to be spicy. All right, let's jump in. As always, we're going to start. This is from October 22nd, only last week. Let's start with the vocabulary like we always do. Racial profiling, right there in the title of the article, racial profiling. What is racial profiling? So many people want to know when they ask about this article. Racial profiling is the act of suspecting that someone has committed a crime based on the color of their skin or their race rather than evidence. Now, racial profiling has been in the news for probably about 20 or so years. I remember it first started making the scenes back in around the time of 9/11, 2001, when people and law enforcement were accused of profiling people based on their looks, mainly if they looked like they were from the Middle East or something, they were accused of profiling them. So these days, most often we hear about racial profiling with police. As this sentence suggests, the survey suggests that most African American males believe they have been victims of racial profiling. I'm not sure if that's most, but I'm sure many people do believe that African American males believe they've been victims of racial profiling. We'll continue on. Guideline. A guideline is a rule or instruction, etc., about how something should be done. WHO guidelines say that adults should get at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise per week. That is true. Of course, I don't like to listen to the WHO for much of anything these days. Their guidelines tend to suck. I hope you get more than 150 minutes, but if you don't, that's fine too. Discrimination. Discrimination. As you can tell, this article is about racism. Discrimination is, according to this article, according to this definition, the practice of treating a person or group unfairly because of their race, religion, gender, etc. Discrimination. It's a noun. It comes from the verb to discriminate. To discriminate means to choose between different options. However, discriminate has taken on the meaning in the latter part of the 20th century and now to also include treating people unfairly based on their skin color, their race, their religion, their gender, etc. Many women experience workplace discrimination and are often paid less than their male colleagues. This is a lie that has been disproven so many times, I do not even want to go there. That's not what this article is about. Next, we come to root, the basis, starting point, ancestry, etc. of someone or something. This is a good word, root. Just think of a tree or a plant. It's the beginnings of where something starts. You know, when we're talking about a plant, it starts from a seed, and the first thing that pokes out of that little seed is the root, and then the leaves start popping up, and you got roots down below and leaves. So it's a great place, a great noun to describe the origin or starting point of someone. Um, we love to use this for ancestry, and this word is used throughout this article to talk about someone's ancestry, their roots, their family roots. Tennis star Naomi Osaka has often spoken about how proud she is of her Haitian and Japanese roots. Yeah, she's a heck of a tennis player too. I hope she's more proud of the fact that she is a very good tennis player rather than her ethnic background and makeup. Anyway, next, examine, to check or consider something in detail. The doctor, she examined some cells under the microscope. To examine, look at something in detail. Next up, embassy. I wondered, why is this word in the vocabulary for an article about Japanese police? Stay tuned and you'll find out. Embassy, it's a place where a group of officials represent their country abroad. Uh, if you happen to travel abroad, you'll want to know where the embassy for your country is located in the country where you're visiting. So, if your passport has been lost or stolen, please contact the nearest embassy for advice. Have you ever been traveling abroad and lost a passport or had one stolen? That is like the ultimate nightmare. I've traveled around the world. Fortunately, that has never happened to me. But man, it is a nightmare to think about. All right, let's jump into the article. Lawyers in Japan warn police over racial profiling. Okay, a group of lawyers in Tokyo has asked for guidelines, there's that vocabulary word, to be introduced to prevent racial discrimination by Japanese police. There's another vocabulary word, discrimination. So we want to, this group of lawyers, they want to prevent racial discrimination by Japanese police. Okay. In early 2022, May to be exact, the Tokyo Bar Association did a survey where they asked almost 2,100, I think it was 2,090 something people, 92 people or something like that. They asked them, people in Japan who had foreign roots, there's that other vocabulary word, they had foreign ancestry, including some people who were Japanese citizens, about their experiences of being questioned by police. The interesting part is that more than 60% of the people surveyed said they'd been questioned during the previous 5 years. So out of almost 2,100 people, 60% said they'd been surveyed. So what's that, about 1,200 and something people? That's quite a bit out of the survey group. According to the results, 77% of those questions said they believed they had not been doing anything that would give the police a reason to talk to them. Okay. Key things to look at in this sentence. They said they believed they had not been doing anything. They believed. That means they didn't have evidence. It's just what they believed. Now, we'll just continue on. We'll come back to that. The Asahi Shimbun reported that Moe Moe Miyashita. My Japanese pronunciation is not great, so forgive me. A lawyer from the Tokyo Bar Association told the journalist, quote, it is necessary to create guidelines for police checks to prevent discrimination and a system that allows police questioning to be examined later. So we want to double check and examine the police on that one. All right. I did check out this article that agency that they mentioned there. I also checked several other articles, which I'll share one in just a moment. They're all very similar. Um, and he did say that. They said it's necessary to do that. Most of the people who said they were questioned were people with Latin American, African, and Middle Eastern roots. In other words, their skin is rather dark. Um, one out of all of the people that they questioned, said they were afraid of the police. This is very interesting. They said they were afraid of the police and believed they had been a victim of racial profiling. A victim of racial profiling. Do you know what the word victim means? Well, normally, victim implies that there has been someone who has been injured by something. An injury, we talk about people being victims of war, victims of a car accident. We talk about murder victims. We talk about, um, oh, victims of police brutality, which we're not talking about in this case. There's all kinds of victims, but usually there has to be someone who has been injured uh, in, in the action. I do not see that racial profiling has an injured person. What is and if there is an injured person, please share with me what you think the injury is. So just so we know, let's just cover the definition of a victim. What is a victim? A victim, a victim is one that is injured, destroyed, or sacrificed under any of various conditions, or one. Whenever you see one in a definition, it means a person that is subjected to oppression, hardship, or mistreatment. Someone asked me earlier about what is oppression. And I guess I said to imagine oppression as being pushed down, pressing down on someone. So oppression would be to push someone down, to abuse them. Imagine a slave owner oppressing their slaves. Imagine uh, an authoritarian government oppressing their people by putting them in prison camps. So someone who's subject to oppression, hardship, or mistreatment. So I guess you could argue that this is mistreatment to be questioned by the police, but this person certainly felt that way and said they were afraid because they were questioned because they looked foreign. Now, I don't know if you've been to Japan, but Japanese people are all of the same race for the most part. They are all Japanese and they all tend to look alike. I don't know the exact breakout of the population. I know that the total population of foreigners in Japan is about, I think, 2.5 million people. Out of the whole population of the country, I would say that is a tiny fraction of the entire population, much less than 5%, probably less than that. Um, so another person said that while they understand that the police are doing their jobs, they didn't think it was fair to be questioned like a criminal in front of large groups of people on the streets or in the airport. Now, perhaps that may be the case, but that depends on what your definition of fair is, I guess. So why don't you let me know? Leave a comment down below. What is your definition of fair? And by the way, is it fair to question people if you suspect that they might have committed the crime? Or is it fair to question people if they just are out of place? There are numerous articles that I did research into about this. that gave the police an opportunity to explain their questioning tactics. And most of their tactics sounded both successful and reasonable, and they didn't sound like they took race into account. Um, However, that is not what this article is trying to say. Well, so back in December of 2021, the Japanese police were told by the country's national police agency to avoid questioning people in a way that could be seen as discriminatory. So it's all about perception, it's all about how things look. They want to know that we are not looking like we are discriminatory. This is according to Kyoto News, which is an article that I read. Uh, so this was December 2021. This was after the U.S. Embassy in Japan reported that foreigners in the country had been questioned by police in possible racial profiling incidents. Now, this is very interesting. I did look into that. The report from the U.S. Embassy was actually a warning issued on Twitter by the U.S. Embassy in Japan, saying that after Japan had increased restrictions on travel due to the COVID-19 virus, they were uh, restricting more travel and restricting a lot of movement within the country. Someone apparently said that they were involved in a racial profiling incident being questioned by the police. Um, the information about who the person was or what the information was or who did it or how many people reported it, there was nothing about that. Uh, they conveniently left that off of any reports. So there is no evidence of any of that, but possible racial profiling incidents. And at the time, let's close this article. The government said that at the time that police do not question people based on their roots. And I can say that a few of the articles that I read did imply that, yes, that's true. They did not question people based on their roots. All right, so let's take a look at the other screen that I wanted to show you, the article about the police officers. This is from Kyoto News that was cited in the article from May 12th, 2022. Japan police urge officers to avoid the impression of racial profiling. I'm not going to spend too much time here, but I did notice that here's a protest from foreign residents taken to the streets in Tokyo's Shibuya ward on May 30th, 2020, in protest against alleged mistreatment by Japanese police of a Kurdish man. Again, there were allegations. I didn't see any actual evidence or anything like that. Advisory came after U.S. Embassy in Tokyo tweeted on December 6th that it had received reports of suspected racial profiling incidents with several foreigners detained, questioned, and searched by the police. This article, along with several others, this is a lot of the same information. It cited um, a story about an English teacher. Many articles cited this story. An English teacher with Japanese mother and a Bahamian father was left stunned after police in Tokyo explained that they had questioned him because, quote, in our experience, many people with dreadlocks carry drugs. An inspection of his belongings confirmed he had no drugs. Okay, so no harm done. He got questioned in January. He had dreadlocks, and police said that in their experience, many people with dreadlocks carry drugs. Okay, good. Now, unfortunately, he's the guy who said that he's afraid of the police. It's a shame. It's a shame. Very sad because he has dreadlocks in his hair. But is it racist? In their experience, many people with dreadlocks have drugs. I'm sorry, it may be racist, but the statistics and their experience shows that it pays to be aware. Now, do I think that people should be stopped for drugs? In my personal opinion, I don't really care. But in Japan, it's their law. They're not allowed to have drugs. So, hey, let them follow their rules. My point here is when you are in another country, protesting as if you were in your own country may not be looked upon as very friendly. When you're visiting another country, perhaps you should embrace the culture, embrace the values, and embrace the things that make it that culture. Okay? You are a guest in their country. Enjoy it, try it. I've been here in Korea for almost 10 years. And guess what? I've never had a problem with the police. Why? Because I follow the culture. I don't mess around. I don't protest. I don't make a big deal. And, uh, you know, now it's not the same as Japan, but there's a similar homogenous society where most people are Asian. In Korea, most people are Korean. In Japan, most people are Japanese. Um, there's a natural inclination to be wary of people who do not look the same as you. Is it racist? You can call it that, but it's a natural thing. Call me racist for saying that, but I and that is your right to do. But that's just my opinion. Another thing I wanted to point out that all of these articles that I looked at, not a single one of these articles pointed out anything to say that anyone was arrested or harassed or booked or taken in. Now, you can call it harassment if you want to, but uh, not a single person was inconvenienced other than being questioned and stopped in the situation by the police. Now, if that is illegal or wrong or racist, well, that's your opinion. Please let me know what you think down in the comments. I know this is a bit of a long video. We're going to scoot along to sum everything up. So, what is the takeaway today? What did we learn? Well, let's see. Let's number one. In early 2022, a group from the Tokyo Bar Association surveyed nearly 2,100 people with foreign roots asking about being questioned by the police, and they found that over 60% of people have been shockingly questioned by the police. And it is nice to know that some people followed my advice. Question everything. Always ask questions. Come on. If you want to have good conversations, you should always be asking questions. That's it. Number two, the survey brought about a warning issued by who? The U.S. Embassy in Japan about reports of racial profiling by Japanese police, because apparently America doesn't have enough racist cops and it needs to start looking for them overseas. Imagine blaming everyone in the world for being racist. Must be a tough life to live. And number three, while many people have come to believe that diversity is the only path to holiness, it is important to remember that when you are a guest in another country, just like in another person's home, you should do your best to respect the traditions, culture, and laws of that country. The principle has guided me well as I've lived for nearly a decade as a guest in Korea. So, thanks for listening to me share my opinions. If you were challenged by my views or feel the need to disagree, please start a civil discussion in the comments. If you liked the video, please let me know that you liked and what you liked best. And remember to smash the like button and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Finally, let's wrap things up with the idiom of the day. We'll keep this short. Stick one's nose in. To stick one's nose into something. It means to interfere needlessly in someone else's affairs or business. Also, you could say it means to be nosy. To be nosy, to stick your nose in, to meddle or interfere in the affairs of others. For example, it wasn't a problem until an outside group decided to stick their nose in and ruin it. Or in this article, the American Embassy stuck their nose into the affairs of the National Police Agency when they tweeted their accusation about racial profiling. All right, that wasn't in this article, but that's my summary of the article and what happened. So the origin, I searched Far and wide, I searched all over the internet for the origin of this idiom, and I couldn't find anything other than it has been an idiomatic verb in use since the mid 1800s. So there you go. I don't know what else to tell you. All right. Stick your nose in it, right? I really don't know what else to say. Personally, I like to mind my own business. The only thing I like to stick my nose in is this cup of coffee. Oh, yeah. You can keep me smelling that enticing aroma by clicking the link to buy me a cup of coffee. It helps keep me going and it helps lets me know that you support my work. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all the time that we have for today. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and don't forget your homework. Share this program with just one of your friends, and be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you stay up to date. If you want to join the conversation yourself in a one-on-one or group class, check out my page on Amazing Talker, and your news may end up here too. As always, remember, learning is meant to be an adventure. That's what life is all about.